Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown again. It's April 19th, 2025. It's Saturday of Easter weekend. This week I'm going to continue my discussion with relative strength, except I'm going to show you end of day relative strength scans. I decided I would add those in addition to the intraday because the intraday worked out so well. As always, the market is your teacher, and just a reminder, any stock index or ETF mentioned in this presentation is not a recommendation to buy or sell. All trading strategies are used at your own risk. If you don't have the software, you can get a 30-day trial by going to www.highgrowthstock.com, and you'll see a link to order the software for the free trial. Now, I decided to add another category. I wasn't going to do this, but like I said, the intraday relative strength scans seem to be working out very well, so I wanted to add the end of day or the EO day relative strength scans also. Now, these are not in sequential order. It's just the way the sort comes out with the spelling, but this is the way my files look. I don't have any other files in here but mine, so the category trades are going to be all together. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at this. I have the first warehouse view up here, end of day relative strength through the S&P sectors. And make sure you're in all securities because these go directly to the corresponding industry group or folder, I should say. So if you're not on all securities, the filters don't work quite right. So I'm right here now. And this is the way the spider sectors look at the end of day on Friday. In addition to the spider sectors, I have the QQQ in here and also the SPY. The reason I did that is I want to see the relative strength of the Qs and the SPY to the individual sectors. So let's go ahead and close this so I can operate this properly. As you can see, as of Friday, and this is a one-day relative strength, based once again primarily on the range, but also with emphasis on the percentage price change one day. You can see that consumer staples, that sector was up the most yesterday. It wasn't up the most, but the combination of the combo using both the percentage price change and the range puts it at the top of the list. Actually, the energy sector was up 0.2 more, but notice where the range closed. So that's just the way I've set up the combo ranking. The higher the close is for the range, it just means there was more strength going into the close as an entire sector. So let's take this down to the next level. I'm going to take a look at the XLP, and to get there, all I have to do is click on the down arrow key and move down to XLP, and then suddenly I have all of the stocks that are in that sector, and these are placed in there by Standard & Poor. I just download all of the stocks off of bar chart. They have them all organized and just put them into the individual folders. Once again, you need to be in all securities, and it goes directly there. That's a function of the filter. Once again, it's the same combo that I'm using on the sectors. Let me just go back up here. Same combo, percentage one day change and percentage range, and then back down to the XLP, same combo. Now for these views, I put the Wyckoff indicators back in. I didn't use them in the intraday views because this is the end of day information and it served no purpose. But they serve a purpose here at the end of the day because I can tell where the volume is high or low, what the spread did, and what the close is. And looking at Dollar Tree, which is the top stock based upon the combo, up 8.1% yesterday at the closing range of 98.24%, with volume 70% above the 90-day moving average. So this all corresponds with the Wyckoff indicators over here. That's why I put them back in. Also, I can look across here, see if the Dollar Tree crossed over, the 3 crossed the 6 7 days ago. So I know this stock has been moving up, maybe not every day, but for the past 7 days where the crossover was. So let's just bring it up. This is a weekly chart. I'm going to change to a daily chart with the 3-6 crossover. And you can see, looking here at the chart, in the lower right where the crossover day was. Now this doesn't really give you a lot of confidence looking at a chart like this, but it was the big mover yesterday within this group. Now I'm going to point out down here, if you look down here at the bottom, 8.1%, that corresponds to this column up here in the warehouse view. I very much dislike charts that look like this. Where's the confidence in holding a stock like this? When I look from this point back over here, you can see that it's really not made any progress in 3 months or so. I'm going to drop down to a weekly chart, and it looks a lot smoother down here, but the daily chart could keep you up at night. But if you're trading longer term, it's really setting up nicely on this weekly chart. You can see it's got to get past resistance here. Right here is resistance, and it could be on its way. We have a couple of weekly VPA flags, so it does look totally different on a weekly chart. So getting back to the warehouse, like I said, this is a one-day relative strength, but this is the way it lined up as of Friday. You can quickly flip through the charts. Let's go back to a daily chart. Here's what I'm looking for. And ADM, it too has been beaten down, but it's a lot smoother coming off of the bottom here. Now here was a strength seen returning after a downtrend, confirmation of that strength, and it's been moving up. The 3 crossed the 6 back here, and it's been gaining momentum. How do I know it's been gaining momentum? Well, it lost momentum for a couple of days, but it gained momentum on Friday because this histogram is higher than the prior 3 days, which means the 3 EMA, the green line, is getting a little bit further apart from the red line, the 6-day moving average. Now, the way I view this, the warehouse is your daily scorecard for relative strength. First, with all of the sectors, and then going down to the individual levels depending on what you're looking for. Now, you can see that the technology sector is at the bottom. It was down 0.5% yesterday, closed at the 25% of its daily range, and volume was down. But if you're looking for stocks that may be the strongest stocks within this group, all you have to do is go down to XLK, and you can see that there are some stocks within this sector that were showing some strength on Friday. In fact, First Solar crossed over on Friday, so let's take a look at it. Now, the way this is set up, we're in these sectors, but all of these stocks are or a lot of them are in different industry groups. So you can tell what industry group they're in by just going over this column right here. And you can also see how the stocks are doing compared to the QQQ and the SPY and the actual index itself, the XLK. So let's take a look at First Solar since it's on top. And you can see that it's been in a downtrend. I'm going to zoom in on this, alternate 1. And it says that the 3 is crossing the 6. You can see it right there. It's barely crossing. I don't know if it's even showing on the histogram, or it's right on the line. It looks like the blue line. But we are seeing some slight interest in this stock. It closed at 92.28% of its daily range. Volume was below average. You can see that right here, less than average. Spreads below average, and the close is very high. So the first signs of interest in First Solar. Now, if you look down here, you can see the volume point of control did turn positive along with the 2-day force index. So this would go into a watch list if you're looking for beaten down stocks that are showing some signs of accumulation. You can see it over here too. Several days of accumulation, and then the big move down, the shakeout, and then the reversal. But there is some interest in it. Notice that it is a renewable energy equipment stock, and the second stock is In-Phase Energy. Now, this is a stock that in the past was a great performer. But so many of these stocks have really been beaten down. You can see that not that many months ago, it was up here around $142. If we go back further, you can see where this stock once was. It was up around $338, it looks like, and look where it is now. So, buy and hold, yeah, it works great sometimes, but other times it doesn't work well at all. What's interesting here is that there are 2 renewable energy equipment stocks on top. I'm going to resort this. Those are the only 2 in here, it looks like, that belong to this sector. But they're worth keeping an eye on. Now I want to do something else here. I do this quite a bit. I go into the Tools menu and select Tile Ranking and Warehouse horizontally. So what this does is it brings the ranking module up to the top window, and it puts the warehouse module down in the bottom part. So you can see that I've got this set on percent change 1 week. And there are a lot of options in here, but this is what I'm using now because I'm doing this on Saturday. I'm interested in what happened this week, and I can see that Seagate was the biggest performer over the week. It was up $8.02%, and the week before that it was up 5.125. Week before that it was down 21.42. So these columns are for each week that is listed up here in this line. It tells you if these stocks are up and down that week and how much was their movement. So we have 13 percentage point gain on Seagate over this weekly time period. If I click through to the warehouse right up here, it shows me that if I'm sorted on raw combo, that the relative strength is number 3 out of this list of stocks in XLK. I can also see that volume was above average, spread was above average, closed very high, and it crossed over 2 days ago. 0 being the crossover day, so it crossed over on Thursday and continued on Friday. So I'll bring a chart up, and then I'll have to go back to a daily chart here. And get rid of the crosshair, get it out of the way, and you can see that The crossover day was right here. You can see it up here also. And it continued its move higher. Now obviously this stock is in a downtrend still, but you can see several days of accumulation here. Here's stopping volume right here. Here's strength coming in. Here is strength soon returning after a downtrend, stopping volume, and it looked pretty good here, or it looks like it's under accumulation, I should say. And then here's a low volume test on the bullish side, no supply, 3 crossing the 6, and now it's running up against the 18. This could just be a counter trend rally. We don't know that, but for now it's showing a lot of positive signs. I'm going to bring an arrow up here and point out that the VPOC crossed over here. The force didn't cross until right here, and the reason for that is looks like the volume was running a little below average here. But anyway, it's moving up now, and here's the short-term resistance. If the market does gain some momentum, this stock could be a potential trade. So this is the ranking module. If you look at the stocks here, here's Planetaire. It was up, down 14% that week, up nearly 20% last week, and up another 6% this week. So if I bring it up, let's look at a weekly chart since I'm looking at a weekly column here. I'm looking at weekly columns. So last week, 19.64%. If I click on this weekly chart, if you look down here, it's 19.65. So after the sell-off, this was the day where Trump lit the market on fire, or the week, I mean. And then you can see that even though this is a red candle, it was up another nearly 6% this week. Now, as I showed last week, another way I use this ranking module is I use wild or relative strength 14 weeks. And what this does is it shows me the strongest charts within a group based upon Wilder. Now look at VeriSign here. Yes, this is a weekly chart, but I'm using Wilder 14 weeks, and look how strong this chart is. Roper Industries is number 2. Not nearly as pretty, but it, based upon the criteria, it is one of the stronger charts. Planetaire, IBM. Let's go down to the bottom here. Well, we've already looked at First Solar, but you can see the difference between the top and the bottom by selecting Wilder RSI 14 weeks. There's just so many broken down stocks, especially in this group, but I do like to use this. VeriSign is the outstanding performer, and it has been for quite some time, for several weeks. Now let's go to a different sector. I'm going to go back up to here, and let's look at consumer staples again. So I want to go to XLP. I just dropped down to XLP, and now I'm going to click through to the ranking module, and it shows me the strongest stocks. Philip Morris, Kroger, Coca-Cola. Now these look a lot stronger, don't they? Go down to the weakest stock, Target. So there's a lot of people bottom fishing Target right now. But that's the way I use the ranking module for long-term strength as far as charts go. And back to percent 1 week, there's Dollar Tree, which I looked at already, and then Philip Morris is up 6%. And if I click down to the warehouse, you can see that where it closed, clear down at number 32 today, because its price change was only 1.7% and it closed mid-range. So I'll jump over here to but this is a good example of using the ranking module and the warehouse module. This number here is for the week, 6% for the week. This is for the day, and then if I go back to Wilder, 14 weeks, you can see that Philip Morris is on the top. So I know that it's a really strong stock. Now I'm going to end this video. I don't have any more time this weekend, but I want to get these the end of day relative strength scans out to you so you can play with them, and I'll be talking more about them in the coming weekend videos. So there's just a lot you can do with them. Not only do I have the sectors in here, but I have the end of day relative strength for everything that I had in the intraday groups. So I can see, well, let's just quickly go to Market Insight, which shows a real cross-section of ETFs sorted on raw combo. Shows me what they did for the day. And let me go back to the percent change 1 week. And I can see that I need to actually flip this through. The oil fund was up 4.54%, and it's number 2 yesterday. So had a decent move yesterday also, but it's been moving up for the week. And then once again, if you want to see the strongest stocks in here, use Wilder, and the gold spider will come to the top. This is a daily chart. Let's drop it down to a weekly, and you can see how strong gold has been and continues to be. Okay, that's it for this week. Have a nice Easter, and please install the add-on and play with these, see what you think, and if you have any questions, just let me know and I'll cover them in upcoming videos.